Hello, beautiful people. Today is 18th of September. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So, today we'll take a quote from Leo Tolstoy, one of the most influential Russian writer and the author of the book War and Peace. He had one of the most profound impact onto the leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. He says, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Now, guys, this particular idea corresponds to Mahatma Gandhiji's idea, be the change you want to see into the world. So we long about bringing the change into the society, but we never act on our own internal conscience that how we can act as a catalyst into that change. So guys, this particular quote, we can utilize it in our GS paper number 4, where the ethical values have been discussed. So guys, that's all about this, and now we'll move to the newspaper analysis.
Now guys, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper first. Now here we can see that Harsimrat Kaur, the cabinet minister, has resigned in protest against the agricultural bills that are being passed by the government. Now guys, earlier yesterday only I have told you this entire controversy that how government passed the three ordinances for the contract farming, for the APMC and the Essential Commodities Act, which are being resisted by the farmers in Punjab and Haryana. So guys, already yesterday we had seen, you can watch it. Then guys, this particular article here mentions about the regulation of the media. So guys, in that particular respect, certain developments had came here. Guys, rather apart from this particular news, some other issues also will be seeing here. Then guys, moving forward, other news are not important for our exam. Then the city section contains the news with respect to the number of COVID cases, and the advertisement is here, and all such issues which are not important for our exam. Now guys, we reach to the editorial page. Now the first editorial talks about the COVID-19 drug, which should come as early as possible. Guys, yesterday only we had seen the issue of the COVID-19 vaccine. Now guys, here we can see that the climate proposal has been mentioned. Just a few days back, United Nations Secretary General made some statements on that particular thing. It has covered, we'll see this thing. Then guys, this particular article talk about the United Nations Security Council reforms, so we'll see the issue. Now guys, this particular article talks about the judiciary's conduct with respect to the criticism. So guys, this article has been framed in very generalistic sense, and much substance with respect to the exam has not been given. Now guys, just few days back, a Tamil actor made a certain statement where he said that the judiciary itself is giving the orders via the online mechanism, and it expects that students should go into the physical form and give the exam. So guys, that this particular thing has been raised for the contempt, but this particular thing has not been appreciated. So guys, just that's it. Then moving forward, friends, the Quad, China's rising LAC, we had already discussed the Quad many a number of times when the Australia was being invited into the Malabar. Large number of editorials already on this particular line has came. Then guys, this particular article talks about the welfare of animals, so we'll see this with respect to the GS paper number 4. Then moving forward, so as here we can see that the Becca agreement has been mentioned, so we'll see that what it is all about. Then guys, just a one liner concept, here we can see that the convalescent plasma therapy might not be having the protective effect in all the cases, because many a times the plasma that is being taken by the person might not have enough number of antibodies that it can help the person who is suffering. So guys, just that thing. Then moving forward, here we can see that India and Pakistan will be attending the SAARC meet that will be happening on to the 24th of September. So guys, as it will happen in just 5-6 days, so then we'll see all the MOUs and the things which will be taken up. Then guys, moving forward, the showcase page not important for our exam. After that guys, we reach to the world page. Now here the Donald Trump is contradicting that the mask has been called as a mixed bag, and all such kind of things not important for our exam. Then guys, on to the business page, the petrol usage returned to pre-COVID level, not important. Other such kind of news has been mentioned, not important for our exam. Then guys, there's the sports page. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail.
Now guys, the first news, it pertains to the regulation of media and it can be utilized into the topics of GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3. Now, this particular news is providing that there is a kind of a need to regulate the social media. Now, what has happened? I will tell you. Just a few days back, there was a controversial, basically a kind of a coverage which was to be aired onto a news channel, that was Sudarshan TV. On that particular news channel, a broadcast was created in which it was said that now the minority people from the Muslim community, they are getting more and more number of seats into the UPSC, and that particular thing was termed as the UPSC jihad, which is obviously not acceptable by any standard. Now, on that particular thing, center government allowed that the broadcast of that episode can happen, but after that the Supreme Court stayed that broadcast and said that certain standards are need to be levied. Now guys, in that response again, now here the center is telling the Supreme Court that first of all you need to regulate the digital media, the OTT platforms, the YouTube platform with respect to the news coverage, and after you have controlled them, then you should look on controlling the, or basically regulating the mainstream media news channels, because it has been said that the impact of the online news channels, it is much more than the impact of the mainstream media, and every day the reach of the online platforms such as onto the YouTube and other kind of platforms, their reach is increasing. So they had said to the Supreme Court that you first bring the policy to regulate them, then we'll be talking about the mainstream print and electronic media. So this is the thing which has happened till now here. Now guys, moving beyond this particular thing, the media holds a particular relevance for our exam. So we will be taking some other extra information also here. Now, into the news article, it has been said that the judiciary wants that there needs to be a clear demarcation between the journalistic freedom as well as responsible journalism. Under article number 19, right to free press has been given, but at the same time the free press also needs to keep it in their mind that they are also a responsible pillar of Indian democracy, and it has been said that media is actually the fourth pillar of democracy. But such a thing is not now being observed if you see the standards of the present news coverage. Now guys, with respect to the media, the responsibility of media is to give news and not to form views. But right now the media gives its views rather than giving the news, which is clearly a kind of the non-understanding for the purpose for what actually media was made up of. Now guys, when we talk about the basically media, so basically around the world the 5 core principles for the media regulation has been accepted on which the media should work. So what are these 5 core principles? Principle number 1 is the truth and accuracy. Number 2 is independence. Number 3 is fair and impartiality. Fourth is humanity, and this particular humanity principle has been violated. If you will see right now the coverage of the basically investigation that is going after the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. And the fifth is the accountability. So these are the core 5 pillars, and whenever you are writing your answers onto the media, please provide them. Now guys, when we talk about the regulation of media, then right now the regulation is broadly going under 2 things. First of all, media in India is largely self-regulated, but still some little bit regulation is there, and it is because of 2 things. First is there is the News Broadcasting Standards Authority. Now this News Broadcasting Standard Authority, it provides the self-checks or self-regulations onto the media. This particular authority had been created by the Press Council of India, which is a statutory body. Statutory body means it was made by the law. Now the Press Council of India, it has a 28 members and a chairman. Now the chairman is selected or elected by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Just that's you need to keep in your mind. Now guys, the News Broadcasting Standards, it has also devised the Code of Ethics, which regulates the broadcast on the TV, but many a times clearly these ethics have not been adopted. Now guys, furthermore, if we talk about the social media in particularly, then it is covered or regulated under the IT Act under which the section such as the section number 66, 66A, 69, etc. has been provided. So here right now they are being covered. Now guys, obviously there is a need to regulate them, but whenever we talk about regulation, two kind of viewpoints come. One viewpoint says that by this particular thing the government will censor the media and the era of emergency will come when basically media was stripped of its voice. But on to the other hand, it has been said that anyhow if we see the standard of the media, it is not representing the conscience of the nation, so therefore the regulation is needed. Now what actually is to be done, that happens to be a very sensitive topic. So guys, when we are talking about the regulation, there are two particular bill also which you can mention into your answer, though they have not been passed, but if you write them, they will provide a kind of a good impression into your answers. Number one was the Draft Broadcasting Service Regulation Bill 2006. Now under this particular bill, two provisions were good. First of all, the content regulation was talked about, and the second was a kind of an independent body, that is the Broadcasting Regulatory Authority of India, was also to be created, which will look onto the standards of the news broadcast. Now guys, again I have told you that they will be having the dual sword effect. They will be appreciated also, they will be criticized also. Then the next bill which you can mention was the Registration of Newspaper and Publication Bill 2017, and this particular bill touched upon a very important issue, that is the issues of the paid news. Now guys, the paid news has been called as very much problematic by the Election Commission of India, and Election Commission of India has also talked that some kind of regulation should be brought on that. But guys, till now nothing has come. So these two are the bills which we can mention. So guys, that's all about this particular news article. Highly relevant, a question as well as an essay is expected. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks an important issue for GS paper number 2, that is the reforms at the United Nations. Now this particular year, the United Nations General Assembly is holding its 75th year session. And again the talks with respect to the reforming of UN are there into the center stage. Now guys, here we will be discussing about the United Nations Security Council or the UNSC reforms. First of all, some basic information. When we talk about the United Nations has 6 principal organs, that is the United Nations General Assembly, United Nations Security Council, ECOSOC, that is Economic and Social Council, then there is the Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, and the United Nations Secretariat. So these are the 6 principal organs. Within this, UNSC is one of the very most important body. Now United Nations Security Council has 15 members, 5 members are permanent and the 10 members are non-permanent. Now guys, the non-permanent members, they are elected onto the basis of election, and for the 2-year term they are elected, and just 2 months back the India has been elected as a onto the non-permanent seat into the UNSC. The term of the India will be starting in 2021 on 1st of January. So guys, this is the information, first of all the background. Now there is an issue that the United Nations Security Council, it is not representing the present global order. If you will see these permanent members, then most of them are from either the Europe or they are from the North America. Now guys, Asia as a continent has been underrepresented, and Africa, island nations, North Latin America, they have not been represented at all. So basically this particular thing calls that a reform into the permanent membership is needed. Now guys, permanent members, they have a particular kind of power, that is the veto power. By veto power, they can stall any action, and UNSC, if they want, they can basically order intervention in any country in order to restore the law and order. So guys, UNSC has been a very powerful body. So therefore, moreover, it has been said that now the UNSC's 5 members, they have outlived their utility because they have failed on various issues. For example, they have not been able to bring any consensus on issues such as the internet space, the issues of high seas. Moreover, the veto power which has been given to them, they have misused it many a number of times. For example, the USA has misused their veto powers onto the matters related to the Palestine Israel. Then the Russia has misused their veto powers when the actions of the Syria were concerned. So in this particular way, they are not the responsible nations of the present times. So guys, therefore it has been said that the reforms are much more urgently needed. Now when we are talking about the reform, India is at a center stage and is asking for the reforms. Now G4 countries are the ones which are pressing for the reform, and these G4 countries are India, Japan, Germany and Brazil. Now guys, Japan and Germany, these are the two countries which are one of the highest fund payers to the UNSC, and Brazil and India, they contribute the largest number of troops for the United Nations peacekeeping operations, but still they are not there into the permanent members. So they want that all four of them should be included into the UNSC onto the permanent seats. There should be the expansion of the permanent seats. Now guys, such kind of demands had gained much more momentum after 2003 when the UK and US entered unilaterally into the war against the Iraq. Now when we are talking about the G4, one more organization or one more grouping I would like to tell you, that is the that is the Uniting for Consensus UFC or the Coffee Club. Now this Coffee Club is led by the Italy, and they want that there should be no expansion of the permanent council. They say that rather than expanding the permanent council, what we can do, we can bring a new category of seats which will be having the medium term membership, and therefore permanent membership should not be there, and they are supported by countries such as South Korea also. So it is an opposition to the G4, that is the India's stand. Now it has been said that as reforms are being talked about in 2015, some kind of hope was there that reforms were coming, because here the intergovernmental resolution was adopted where it was said that we will be discussing how the reforms can be carried. But since then nothing has happened onto this particular thing, and it has just outlived. Therefore now again a new series or new round of reforms should be negotiated. Now guys, what is the principal problem into the reforms? The principal problem is that all the permanent members should agree, all they should agree is to bring some change into the basically constitution of the permanent seats. But though onto the face the country say that they are ready for the reforms, but actually they don't want any dilution of their power, and even countries such as China and Russia, they have openly resisted that they are not in favor of reforming it. So guys, this is all about this particular matter, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the climate proposal. Now what here is being said, I'll first of all give you the background. See, just a few days back, the United Nations Secretary General, he had said that India should act as a responsible country. He had said that India should not undertake any investment into the coal from 2020 onwards. Moreover, it has also been said that by 2030, India should reduce their emissions by 45%. Fine. Now guys, such kind of basically reference have also been made for the China, but clear reference for India has been given. Now the article is criticizing some views, this particular viewpoint, that why only India is being cherry picked to take further basically the reduction into the global emissions. Now guys, there is United Nations Framework Convention for the Climate Change, UNFCCC, which was adopted in 1992. Into this particular treaty, the common but differentiated responsibility such mechanism came. Here it was said that though every country needs to give their contribution, but the developed countries, their responsibility is more, because they have utilized the carbon stocks for their growth, and now they are reaping the rich fruits out of that thing. And the developing countries, they should not be pestered too much for the emission cuts. But the statement which has been made by the Secretary General, it is forgetting or it is violating all the principles of the CBDR. Moreover guys, if we talk about the stats, then it has been seen that right now India is facing the worst economic contraction. Just few days back, the GDP, the reports came and it was said that GDP contraction is 23.4% into the negative trajectory. And guys, our manufacturing sector, our growth is majorly dependent on to the consumption of electricity, and into the electricity the coal plays an important role. So we cannot abandon the coal right now if we want to gain back the economic growth which India needs. Second problem is that, guys, if we see, the India is having the lowest per capita income into the G20 countries, and therefore before pushing India to take up the reforms, there should be a kind of a call on other rich countries. After that, guys, India is only one among very few countries whose climate actions are such that they will actually fulfill the obligations of the Paris Climate Pledge. So under the Paris Climate Summit, it was said that countries should give efforts so that the climate, basically the average temperature, it doesn't rise more than 2 degrees Celsius. Fine. And every country has taken the nationally determined contributions for that particular thing. INDCs, intended nationally determined contributions. India is also working, and India's actual efforts are that it will be helping to meet the 2 degrees Celsius. Other countries are not doing such, but still India is being pestered. Then, guys, the third, it has been said that if we see the cumulative emissions by all the countries, then by 2017 India has only contributed 4% of emission, whereas European Union had contributed 20% of emission. And if we see the population, European Union is having the population of just 448 million. India is having the population of 1.3 billion. So more than double the population, but still only 4% emission. So first of all, responsibility should be laid on EU and North America, such kind of nations. Then, guys, developed nation has just reduced 1.3% of their emissions between 1990 to 2017, which shows very less motivation for into them to take any responsible actions. Moreover, you might also be knowing that USA had pulled out of the Paris Climate Pledge. Why their actions are not being criticized? So, guys, it has been said that basically the statement of the Secretary General as well as of the developed nations is to bring the degrowth in India. Fine, because the growth is directly linked onto the consumption of energy. Now, guys, it has been said that over and over period of time, rather than giving only these statements, the global financial mechanisms or the institutions, they are also being appealed that the funding for the countries such as India should be linked to the steps taken for the renewable energy, for reducing the reliance onto the coal and all such kind of things, which should not be taken up by the developed countries. Further, guys, it has also been said that in India, the lobby of the climate activist is also there, and the people, they are not knowing the inequality that goes on to the world stage. Now the article says that the global organizations, the developed countries, they motivate this lobby in India that you protest for the climate change and all these kind of things. Now this particular, if you allow me to draw conclusion, then, guys, I can say that this particular reference into the article has been made because a few days back, when government allocated 41 coal blocks, then there was the protest that some of these coal blocks are into the no-go zones, and even into the Debang Patkai basically corridor, there was also the protest that the coal block is being given for the mining. So this particular part of the article could be a reference to that thing. However, moving forward, now, guys, the US and EU are not being nudged, and if we see that if India follows the advice given by the Secretary General, and if we don't make any investment into the coal from 2020 onwards, what will be the implication? Implication will be such that every year 2 gigawatt of coal energy will be decommissioned. There are the plants which are becoming old and they have to decommission. So 2 gigawatt energy will go down every year, and by 2030 we'll only be having 184 gigawatt of coal energy potential. But by that time we will be needing the 700 gigawatt approximately. So obviously the India will not be able to carry forward the reform. Moreover, we have a focus that we need to drive our manufacturing sector by Make in India. But the renewable energy, the solar energy, it is not having the technological adaptation into the manufacturing sector. The solar energy, the limitation is such that it can only be devoted to the residential usages as well as into the service sector, but not into the manufacturing sector. Moreover, manufacturing sector also needs a cheap energy, and that comes only by the coal. So therefore, our manufacturing sector is inherently dependent right now. Now guys, solar energy is still expensive, and even the developed countries, they are not developing the technology into this particular respect, so that into the coming times solar energy can be made suitable for the high duty manufacturing sector, as well as it can become cheaper. So that particular investment has also not been taken. Now obviously, whenever we talk about the technology development, the much more onus lies onto the developed countries, because the research and development in those countries is much more developed, but they are not taking up such kind of things. Moreover guys, if into the present times we see the patent files for the renewable energy, they have came drastically down into the developed countries. So this also shows that these developed nations are not very much serious. So guys, these all things have been provided here, and some of the data which has been given here you can utilize if answer onto this particular line comes. So friends, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the welfare of the animal and can be used in GS paper number 4. Now, there is a saying that greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Now guys, there is a kind of two viewpoints that who give this statement. Most of the writers, authors, and even the PETA, that is the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, this organization also says that this statement has been given by the Mahatma Gandhi. But some of other fellow researchers, they have said that this might not be given. But anyhow, author dependent, the message which has been given, it is very important. Now it has been said that animals actually are the representative of the moral character of a nation, because what animals represent, you just think, animals can't speak, so it shows that if they are treating good, it means that in a country the rule of the survival of the fittest is not going on. Animals, they can't give you anything, but still if you are giving them back and if you are caring them, it shows that into the country the feeling of reciprocation, quid pro quo, these things are not that much very prominent, and the countries have good intentions irrespective if anybody does good for them or not. Thirdly, what animals represent? They represent some weak creature, and if you are powerful and you are still allowing the weak creature to survive, it shows that you have a compassionate heart. So therefore, the treatment of animals is a very good requisite of the moral development of a nation. So guys, this is first of all some kind of additional information which I had given, and you can utilize it. Now coming to the article, what it provides. Article provides that in our country there is the Prevention of Cruelty Against Animals Act 1960, which talks about the protection for the animals. But this particular act has outlived its utility. It has been obsolete into the present times. How? Because large number of serious offenses have been categorized into one particular category, and the punishment of maximum 50 rupees has been levied. And we know that in last few months or years we had seen that people have caused the acid, basically acid attacks onto the animals. They have been dropped from the roof, they have been killed, they have been set on crackers, and even the sexual assault of the animals have also been taken. And if such weak penalties will be there, people will not be deterring to do that particular kind of behavior with the animals. So therefore, there is a need that the amendment into the Prevention of Cruelties Against Animals Act should be brought. Now section number 11 under this particular act, it lists all the kind of offenses together. But guys, most of these offenses are put into the non-cognizable category. Under the non-cognizable category, if you want to carry investigation, you need to take approval from the magistrate. And guys, if animal is or the stray dog is concerned, and if approval from magistrate has to be taken, obviously there will be no inquiry, there will be no follow-up onto this particular thing. So guys, it has been said that the basically offenses which have been committed against animals, they should be made much more serious. The penal provisions should be made much more kind of serious and should be made much more hard. Moreover, the offenses should be put into the cognizable and non-bailable category, so that a kind of a fear into the minds of people can come. Moreover, guys, it has been said that under section 11, which deals with the offenses against the animal, there are large number of exceptions. For example, the animals which are involved into the animal husbandry, for them the certain things are allowed. For example, dehorning, the castration of the animal, then nose roping. But guys, all these things are done into very primitive way. For example, nose roping, then basically a very blunt and very thick kind of nail is inserted into the nose, the nasal septum, it is pierced, and from there the rope is taken out, which is very painful and inflicts much miseries onto the animal. But this thing is allowed, and people are doing that thing. Moreover, when we talk about the dehorning, the horns are cut by using the blades, by the wires, for the identification of animals. The hot rod of iron, it is just basically stamped onto the animal without any due precautions. So even into the name of animal husbandry, such kind of torturous activities are happening. Now guys, in this particular respect, the PETA has moved to the Delhi High Court, and it had said, first of all, you should bring amendments, and the serious category of offenses should attract more penal provisions. There, secondly, there should be a category of the cognizable and non-bailable offenses, and thirdly, into the animal husbandry, such kind of obligations should be put onto the people, that they do all these things into more humane way. Now, how into the humane way these things can be done? First of all, whenever the roping and all such basically some kind of operations are being done, anesthetics should be utilized, so that animals doesn't faces the pain. Secondly, guys, with respect to the stamping of the animal, right now the RFID devices are there which can be implanted into the animals, and it is much painless kind of mechanism, so it should be done. After that, it has been said that rather than nose roping the animals, the face halters should be utilized for taming the animals. And then guys, it has been said that the act is very much ambiguous. For example, that says that unnecessary pain should not be inflicted onto the animals. Now, that what is necessary and what is unnecessary, that is into the ambiguous zone. So this particular thing also needs to be redefined. So guys, with respect to this particular thing, if in an ethics the question comes and it is exploring onto such kind of thing, then writing onto the philosophical sense, exploring onto the idea of into the statement which I have given you, you also need to talk about some kind of the practical penal, also the practical legislative loopholes are also there in our country, how them also, those also needs to be reformed. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and could have a high utility in our ethics paper as well as in GS paper number 2 also. Such kind of thing could be asked. Friends, I will like to relate this particular article from one more other thing. There were the issues, for example, the Jallikattu ban, there were the Kambala festival which were going on, which were there into the controversy. So last 3-4 years there is an expectation that question onto the animal cruelty will come, but it has not came. So guys, there is a high probability that in 2 or GS paper number 2 also it could be asked. So that's it, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article provides that US and India are keen on finalizing the BECA at 2+2 dialogue. Now, what this news is all about? First of all, what is this US 2+2 dialogue that we are talking? Now guys, 2+2 dialogue is a kind of a meet or a kind of a dialogue between the defense minister and foreign ministers of both the countries. Such 2+2 dialogue are being taken between India, US, as well as India is also taking it separately with the countries such as Australia and Japan. And now the 2+2 dialogue is due in coming October. And it has been said that into this 2+2 dialogue, the BECA would be finally signed up. Now, what is this BECA? Before going into the BECA, I would tell you some information. Guys, into the India-US cooperation, now the countries are coming together, and see, whenever their relation is asked, please use a kind of phrase it has been said that India and US has moved from being an estranged democracy to the engaged democracy. So estranged democracy, if you'll see the era of the Cold War up till 1990s, the relations between the two countries were not good because of the nuclear program that India was taking, because of the NAM that India was non-alignment movement that India was taking. Even the NAM policy has been called as immoral by the J.F. Dulles, who was the Secretary of State of the USA. Even there were the reports that USA had colluded with Pakistan against the India, and guys, even India's tilt towards the Soviet Union were also not helping into the relation. So therefore till 1990s the relations were bad. Therefore it was called that the two democracies were estranged. However, after that, the democracies have become engaged and various number of economic, civil, defense cooperations are going on. And into the strategic cooperation, if we see, then the USA has four foundational agreements. Is it clear? These are the foundational agreements, and out of these four foundational agreements, India had already signed the three agreements. That is the Logistic Exchange Memorandum Agreement. Then there is the Communication Compatibility and Security Agreement, called as popularly COMCASA, as well as KISMOA. So both the names are used for it. Then the General Security of Military Information Agreement. These three have been signed, but the fourth one, that is the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, this has not been signed till now. So out of four foundational, which India USA signs with everybody, the three have already been signed. And into the 2+2 dialogue, there is a hope that this particular agreement will finally be signed. Now this particular agreement will help that India and US militaries can share geospatial and satellite data with each other, so that they can cooperate better into the wake of any military exercise or into the wake of any joint military operation. So guys, this is being talked here. Now as the meet will conclude into the October, we'll see that actually what has happened. So we will be actively following this particular article. So guys, that's all about this particular thing, and these were the important relevant articles for our UPSC exam. So now we'll move to the question section.
Now friends, please pause the video and try to answer the question. Question number 1 is with respect to the OIC, that is Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number 2 is with respect to the affordable rental housing complexes. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number 3 is with respect to the Banking Regulation Amendment Bill 2020. Please read the statement and identify the incorrect code. Now the question number 4 is with respect to the Green Growth Equity Fund. Please read the statements and identify the correct code. Now guys, the main question for today, it is from the GS paper number 4, ethics. The question says that, do you agree moral development of a nation can be judged by the way its animals are treated? So guys, you need to provide your viewpoints on respect of various parameters. So guys, that's it for today. I hope you are liking our discussion. Thank you so much.